us about making it bigger and better, being able to get back to here and do it again.
Well, first, this is Dean's 50th birthday. You look good for 50.
I do, thanks. I do. You do too.
It's really nice to be able to come back, and it was kind of neat. One of the local stations in Columbus went to where I grew up on Lake Road West, and I got to wake up this morning and look at the Lake Erie and had a couple moments to myself and just remember an incredible childhood here. And so Dean and I have had a passion for Ashtabula. You know, the both of us have been very blessed to go travel around and actually hundreds of different high schools and communities, and you just always go back and say how fortunate we are to be from Ashtabula. And I mean, what an incredible place and great people. We both had great coaches to this day that if you go to Eastern Kentucky or Ohio State, you'll see bits and pieces of everything we learned from Ohio State, or I mean from Ashtabula, Ohio. So we started thinking, what's the best way to give back? And you know, we had great mentors, and so the two groups of people that we can maybe have an impact on are young kids, because we're not allowed to use high school. We can't meet with high school players, and then the high school coaches. And so, and this, you know, he started telling me about Spires. You know, I was like, really? I couldn't believe when I saw it. So that's why we do it. It was a great day today. You always wish the numbers were more. You know, I can't see why every kid in the county wouldn't come here for a free camp and get to hang out, throw the ball around a little bit, have a little fun. And same with every coach. You know, there must be other things going on, which I'm sure there are. But you'd like to see every high school coach in the area come and hang out and talk some football and get a free lunch and go spend a great day.
It's big, like Urban talked about. There is a lot of other things going on, so it's, you know, it's important to us. Preservation of the game. I mean, we love the game of football, and football's been such a big part of our life. And there's a lot of other things that are out there now that the kids can do. And so, you know, part of it is just preservation of the greatest game ever invented, and then obviously fundamentals for the kids. You know, we got great coaches here helping, and they taught every single position, fundamentals of the game. And then safety of the game. You know, we had a tackling safety station to keep kids butt down, their head up, and teach them the proper way to tackle for, you know, so that they don't get hurt. So that's that's important. And then over and above all that, I think, is just the character portion. You know, Urban and myself both talk to the kids about, you know, things that transcend football. You know, but Coach says is powerful. You know, when Urban Meyer, the head coach at Ohio State, says something, that's powerful. When we were kids growing up, and our junior high coach or our high school coach said something to us, man, that was powerful. And I think it's even more powerful today with, you know, the way the home situations are with Dad not being in the home. So it was big for us, planting some seeds with kids about being a gentleman and telling the truth, and just little things that we hope will, you know, come to fruition as they get older and other people water those seeds that we planted today, even if it was just, you know, for a couple of hours.
Urban, when it becomes July, do you start itching for August? Are you ready to go?
Well, I'm itching for vacation.
Amen.
That happens when you get a little older. I am, because I love my players. We have good, I mean, this is one of the best group of kids I've ever been around. But they needed a break from us, and so we get 2 weeks. The NCAA actually really did a good job putting a rule in that says it's a dead period now, and they can't come to visit us. Used to be I'd go on vacation and a phone would ring and say, this big-time prospects on your campus, and I'd look at my wife, she says, you're kidding me. I said, no, and I'd fly back and leave them at wherever they were. But it's very cyclical, and right now it's ready to sail away for a few days, and then I'll be ready to go into July. You're still young enough that you're itching,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I get the same thing. People, oh, Coach, I'm ready for football. You ready for football? No. that top on that sub's going to come down soon enough. I'll take a couple weeks here with the family.
What do you think when you first time you came into Ashtabula and saw the sign with your name on it, home of Urban Meyer, coming back into town?
Well, I'm not really into that stuff, but I'm very appreciative. I'm just awful proud of this town. And it started in '06. I remember we were playing Ohio State when I was at Florida for the national title. And someone showed up, a reporter, and they said something about, you know, not necessarily making fun, but I remember looking at a guy, you know, and I got real defensive about where I grew up. And just because I've been so lucky to go see all these other places, and I wouldn't trade anything. So I think any time that I'm associated with this great city and this great town and the county, and my good friends still here, I still talk to frequently, and it's really important that we try to get back here every year and do the best we can. I'm dying to get my son back here. He just got travel baseball every weekend, but at some point he will, and that'll be really neat to say this is where your dad did this and where we grew up.
What did you learn living in Ashtabula?
I learned, toughness. I played for a guy named Paul Kopko, and Bill Schmidt was my baseball coach, and Kopko was a tough guy. I was back in the Woody Hayes era that things went on now that you can't do now. Kopko would have a little issue in 2000 and whatever it was, 14, but I love Paul Kopko and Ken Petricello, Coach Mackey, and if you watched our practices, which they have many times, they've been invited, obviously open invitation, but the toughness, the blue-collar work ethic, which Ashtabula, Ohio is, and there's no question that's what I'm sure both of us learned.
The message that you deliver to the kids about drawing attention to yourself in a positive way, how does that translate to your team, maybe especially this time of year?
Oh, man. I mean, we all know that this time of year is a nightmare for teams and people. I think for some reason, and I see it just escalating over the last 20 years, is I'm going to draw attention to myself, and I think it starts in the National Football League, and because everybody looks up to those players. And there was a time there, and I give credit to the commissioner, has really done a nice job. I know he gets a lot of heat, but I love Coach Goodell, Mr. Goodell has done a great job. But they see everybody drawing attention to themselves, and not necessarily the positive way. I love when people draw attention to themselves in a positive way, and I think that's a message. One of my coaches gave this speech, and he said, "It's not, dye your hair purple and pink, and do all kinds of crazy things to draw attention to yourself. Why not show up early? Why not work a little harder? Why not get great grades? Why not the old school? Get the attention of the teachers the right way, not being a jerk in a classroom or showing up 5 minutes late for practice. So that was the message today, and it's the same one we share with our team. Not one NFL scout or NFL head coach has ever said, "Hey, you got a guy that's usually late, and he's kind of disrespectful, and do you have one of those kind of guys? I really want him on my pro team." It's never happened. And same thing when we go out and recruit, and I think that message has to get out to these guys. So I try to deliver that as often as I can.
Urban, you said last summer that you were getting close, but the team wasn't there yet. So this summer, where do you think the Buckeyes are?
Oh, close, but we're not there yet. I'll probably say that again next year too. You don't know. There's so many variables. We lost Christian Bryant game 4 last year, our safety, and the heart and soul of our defense, and we didn't play very good defense. Is that an excuse and a reason? Probably a little bit of both, but it's also real. It's a personnel-driven game, not a scheme-driven game, and I like where we're at, but you got to stay healthy. You got to, the bodies and minds change so much from the freshman to sophomore to junior year that, who's going to be, we had this kid named Reed Fragel, or, Carlos Hyde 3 years ago was unheard of, 4th-string tailback at Ohio State, weighed 245 pounds. He shouldn't have weighed 245 pounds. He ended up having a great year at 230. And so many things, there's so many variables, but as far as quality of people, as far as kids doing it right, I'm real excited where we're at.
I think it was 2 years ago here, we talked about hypothetically if there was a playoff, all you'd have to do is be ready. Now it's here, you hope to be a part of it. So is that something that's in motion in case you get there?
Not really. It's not fair for me because I have our players focus on let's get till Thursday, let's get to Friday, let's finish this third quarter. We call it the third quarter, which is summer conditioning. Let's get through that, and it's going to be very intriguing on the fan because to take a family to bowl games, I've had people tell me about $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, and then you do that twice. There's going to be a real dilemma. Which game do I go to? Those are all problems I hope we're a part of. But then also the coaching staff. I've been lucky to coach in a couple of big games, and they said, by the way, you got one more now. You're down on fumes by the end of the season. So you play. You have one of those sledgehammer games, and then they come back. It's okay. 7 or 8 days later, go again. But it'll all work out. I hope we have that problem.
Going back to drawing attention to yourself in a positive way, there was a picture that circulated of Braxton spending his Friday night at the Woody last week. How's Braxton doing?
He's doing great. I love Braxton Miller. If he makes the same strides he's made from year 1 to year 2, year 2 to year 3, and then this year 3 to year 4, he could have a great year. You know, his completion percentage is a steady incline, which you're looking for. But he's just a wonderful kid. He's a guy that I love being around. You never hear about him doing anything other than his business. He works hard in the classroom. He's a near 3.0 student. His leadership skills and his vocal ability to communicate with our players has improved drastically, and his overall knowledge. He has, you know, typical young quarterbacks want to look at things other than the coverage because it's so chaotic back there, and he's getting better and better at that.
Health-wise, is he good to go?
He's not 100% yet, but he's close.
Urban, you said that the college football is momentum. Do you guys still have it?
That's a great question. Obviously, we hit a speed bump, real big speed bump. I like angry teams. We had a couple of them. The 06 team that actually played Ohio State was the angriest team I've ever been around. You know, they were so, because they had to prove a point. The teams are something, you know. Complacent is a bad word. Satisfied is a bad word. Angry is a great word. You know, chip on the shoulder. So I'm hoping. I don't know yet. That's going to be obviously the message as we get to training camp.
Did the win streak weigh on you guys at all?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Would you have admitted it at the time? Did you know it at the time?
Probably wouldn't admit it. I felt it. I saw it. I heard it. You know, and it's all due respect, but it didn't come out of our facility. It came out of when the, you know, I should have censored. You know, said okay, no one can ever talk to our players for 12 games. I'd probably catch a little heat for that. When it came, yeah. But you got, you know, 18, 19-year-old kids, and then even coaches hearing it, and then I would hear it, and I'd say, doggone it, wow. You know, 24, that's pretty good.
When you get to work, how is it going to be different? Because Navy is the first opponent. They're so unique.
That's awful. I will chat with Gene Smith about that. But it's a great opponent against a team that won 9 games. They have the best quarterback, they say, maybe in their school history. Really, really good offense, and 9 starters back, I believe. We're playing them at Baltimore on the road, so we've been working on that. Not necessarily practice because we haven't had time because we made a lot of changes on defense, but we've already addressed that, and we'll spend a good time of training camp preparing for that game. Very good opponent.
You guys were blessed with having Kenny last year, and now he's moved on. What do you expect out of Cardale and JT this year?
Kenny was the best backup quarterback in America. You know, he was a great leader. You know, his story will, you know, I hope it sticks around Ohio State for a long time. But he was an incredible leader, had incredible leadership skills. We call competitive excellence, where you just, if you're not getting a game rep, you get mental rep. And he was an example for as long as I'm coaching to use, because we have videotape of him standing behind Braxton during practice getting, you know, he's not actually receiving the ball, but he's going through the mechanics of taking that game rep when he's actually, it's a mental rep. So Cardell's the backup, and he's continued to make great strides.
You mentioned Christian Bryant earlier. I talked to him a couple of weeks ago. He couldn't work out till like a week before the draft. So what is it about him that made a team take a chance on him that didn't have to?
Yeah, he's all his passion, all spirit. I mean, he's one of the most selfless players I've been around. Loves the game of football. Can't get enough of it. When he got drafted, I don't usually tear up, but when he drafted, that was real emotional because I'm glad the Rams came in and we had a long chat, and Coach Fisher took a chance on a guy that had a bad injury, and so it's like taking one of your kids. You know, he took Christian as like taking my kid, and our coaching staff all felt the same way. So he's an incredible spirit for the game.
Give us a name. Who hasn't played before that you think you could see big things in?
That's good. Tyvis Powell and Von Bell at safety. With Cam Burrows, we have 3 really athletic safeties. Durant Grant is probably the most impressive guy in spring and summer workouts I'm hearing. I like our Nick Vinette and Jeff Hireman, 2 tight ends we have. We're going to do a little bit more. We're not a big 12 grouping team, but and then the tailback Zeke Elliott. Really good players.
2 more.
Dean, how's Eastern Kentucky going to be? Undefeated?
Well, you got absolutely. Well, we got the game that we Coach Meyer agreed to play when he was at Florida, so we got to go play that game.
This year?
Yeah, So, he promised to cook me a chili and sea bass and take his starters out if he was up 2 touchdowns. I don't think Muschamp's gonna stick to the sea bass and the pulling his starters out. So we're gonna have to bow up for that one. But we got a chance to be pretty good. We got every starter back on offense. It's good and bad. It's good we got everybody back. It's bad that some of the guys are the same guys and really need to amp up certain positions. But we really look good in the spring. Our league is, Urban was talking a little bit about personnel grouping. It's 12 personnel. It's 2 tight ends on the field. Our league has gone to 10 personnel, so there's no tight ends on the field, or 11 personnel. There's just 1, and it's become a real lateral game. Zone running, a lot of screens, a lot of controlled short passes. So really, we've had this spring, we took 2 safeties, moved them to our Sam linebacker spot. We took 2 Sam linebackers, moved them to our defensive end spot, and we took a DN and moved him to 3 technique. So we didn't change the structure of our defense, but we changed the personnel within it to get faster, and that really helped us on defense, and we need that because that's where we took a big hit in graduation was our defense. Offensively, we've got everybody back and should be pretty good. So we're excited about the season starting.
One more. Anybody?
Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.